feeling more shoulder pain or shoulder pump while you're doing chest exercises, this video may be just for you. Stay tuned while I drop 3 things on you that'll help you increase the effectiveness of your chest press and just overall get a bigger, better, more developed chest. Stay tuned. To increase the size of your chest, you got to use different equipment at different angles, just like any other body part that you will be targeting trying to grow or develop the size or overall development on. When you use the dumbbells, the barbells, the cables, you're looking for different cues to make sure that you're getting the most out of the rep and you're keeping that shoulder muscle out of it as much as possible. But more importantly, you're saving your shoulders from getting injured or hurt. So when you come over to the dumbbell section, the most important thing to make sure that the emphasis is mostly on your chest is gonna be your hand position and your elbow position. So the first thing you wanna make sure of when you're doing a dumbbell chest press is that you do not have your elbows flared out to the side of your body all the way up here and you're pressing. That's a great way to put more stress and strain on your shoulder muscle and completely miss the targeted muscle group in your chest. I remember when I first started off lifting and I was trying to increase the size of my chest, get a better chest, whatever you want to call it. That was the biggest thing that I was doing wrong. I was allowing my elbows to be flared out, which in return just put more stress on my shoulders. And then when I go to the bench press, I'm wondering why, I'm feeling all these aches and pains while I'm benching. It's because your form is off. In order to keep the tension on your chest muscle, you gotta make sure that you're keeping these 2 cues in mind. So I'm not gonna have my elbows all the way up here. I'm gonna have them bent right at a 45-degree angle. That's gonna help me when I come down lower. So a lot of times when I teach people during training to keep their elbows at a 45-degree angle, they can get immediately confused and then their hand position gets thrown off, which is more than understandable. I mean, the first time I did this, I was a little confused too. So it's not just the elbow position that you're slightly turning. You also want to slightly turn your hand and the dumbbell as well so that you can perfect that elbow position and you can really press from your chest. So you're not using your shoulder, you're not using more of your tricep, you're really keeping the tension on your chest muscle. Second thing that you need to make sure that you're doing, especially when you're doing the barbell exercises, it also can apply to the dumbbells as well. But right now we want to focus on the pathway of the bar or the dumbbell. So I'm gonna use incline as an example to show you where the pathway should be at. When you're using dumbbells and you're making sure your elbows are at a 45-degree angle and you're getting that slight twist with your hand, that's helping where your pathway is because you're always keeping that dumbbell in line with your chest when you're moving your elbows in that 45-degree position. When you're doing the barbells, you don't have the capability to move your elbows in the same way that you do with the dumbbell. You don't have that much flexibility with the bar. So when I'm coming over to the bar, I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing, whether that's whether that's flat bench, whether that's incline bench, whether that's decline, I want to make sure that the pathway of the bar is going in the most effective position that's going to keep tension on my chest. I want to make sure when I'm leaning back, the pathway isn't going too far outwards away from my body, but it's also not heading towards this rack. It's real easy, especially if you're using too much weight and you feel like you're not gonna get the next rep. Your pathway is gonna start going backwards in this really, really deep curve back towards racking it back up. So you wanna make sure that that pathway is just in line with your upper chest and going right up and down. That's also gonna keep your elbows at that 45-degree angle. So whatever position I choose from the beginning where my elbow position is, that's where it's gonna stay throughout the set. I'm not gonna have the opportunity to change where my elbow position is once I'm pressing. The other thing I'm looking for when I'm doing these barbell exercises is my hand position. To make sure that we're hitting our chest in the best way and not our shoulders on the dumbbells, we gotta do the same thing with the barbells. The only difference is here we're making sure that we're not putting more emphasis on the tricep or putting more emphasis on our chest. So to do that, all we're doing is just widening our grip. So for close grip, which is primarily gonna work the tricep muscle, we're right on that inner line of the barbell, right around there, thumbs width away from the line, right around the line, whatever's comfortable for you. But if I'm trying to target and emphasize my chest, I need to be on that further little groove, either index finger, thumb lined up position, but I need to be in a wider position so that I can make sure that I'm emphasizing my chest and not my tricep. Third thing that is going to help you maximize chest exercises, especially the barbell, is your tempo and where the placement of the bar is. So just went over pathway, but it's important to remember that just like the dumbbells, you're not cutting the movement short. That's 2 different ways that I can make sure that I'm not cutting the movement short. One of them, you're gonna get a lot less reps than the other, but both of them are gonna make the set a little bit more challenging than probably how you already have been benching if you haven't been paying attention to this. So when I'm lowering the bar down to my chest, I wanna make sure I'm stopping that barbell a little bit before it hits my chest. That's just gonna make this set a little bit harder. So my advice, I typically do this when I'm going a little bit lighter, when I'm just trying to completely focus on the negative movement and creating a lot of tension. I don't really do this when I am trying to lift a heavier weight, you know, when I'm doing 4 to 6 reps, all that heavier stuff. Just an honest take on, you know, my workouts and how I combine the two different ways to bench. So if I'm doing a little bit heavier weight, I'm gonna let that bar come down on my chest, but I'm not bouncing it off my chest. So I'm not getting that good momentum push off of my chest, as I want to use as much of my chest muscles as I can to move the weight. So the other way that you can make this a little bit more challenging is bringing it to a dead stop position. Now, like I said, you're gonna get a lot less reps when doing this, but it does make the set more challenging. So if you wanna use a dead stop position, just do that on like your last 1 or 2 sets. You don't really have to focus on that, you know, when you're doing your working sets. So to do the dead stop, I'm literally lowering the barbell to my chest, and then I'm resting it on there, 1, 2, and then I'm pushing upwards. It's gonna make the set a little bit more challenging than what you're used to. Now, of course, I've said this in previous videos, I'm gonna continue to keep saying it. If I'm rushing the rep, I'm not gonna get the most out of it. So I gotta make sure that I'm fighting gravity, getting a good 3 to 5 second count, lowering it down to the bottom, or I'm not increasing the time under tension when I'm benching, and I'm missing a lot of tension in my chest. So that's gonna help me with the size of my chest, is gonna help me develop my chest as well. Take those 2 different ways of using the bench and add it to your last 1 or 2 sets. You don't really need to use it for your working sets or for every single set. It's just little cues to make the bench press a little bit harder. So stopping it right before it hits your chest and then going from a dead stop position are just gonna make the set a little bit more challenging than you're used to. If you enjoyed this video and you are looking for more like it, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section. Also, don't get out of here without hitting that subscribe and notification button so you can be up to date on any other videos I drop in the future. See you next time.